The Diamondbacks had the chance to secure the final wildcard spot with the loss of the Mets and the Reds, but were not able to come up with the win themselves. So, why am I still optimistic with only 4 games left?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, where we talk nothing but the Diamondbacks Monday through Friday. And thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I'm your host, Dane Biggs. For today's comment, I wanted to read one out. I'm not going to say who it's from because it's not entirely positive, but I think it's going to be very good for our discussion today. We had somebody come in here and say, in response to the walk-off win 2 days ago, saying, "You all got lucky, that's all." And I wanted to say that. I wanted to bring that up as today's comment to highlight at the beginning because, one, it shows that we have Dodger fans watching the show, and I wanted to say, welcome. You are always welcome to be here. We're going to talk trash about you guys, or about your team specifically, but you're welcome to be here. And we are happy to have you listening. But I also wanted to bring that up because, was it really a lucky win? I think that last night's game proves that it wasn't, even though it ended in a loss. So let's go ahead and talk about some of that. We're going to be today on the show, we're going to be looking at our outlook on the last 4 games. We're going to be looking at the playoff picture, but before we get to those, we are going to cover last night's game. Now, if you guys didn't see the game, I haven't seen much of it, I'm going to recap it for you real quick. Ryan Nelson was our starting pitcher, and he gave up a very quick run in the first. Shohei Ohtani got a triple. Mookie Betts got a sac fly, scored him pretty quick. However, we answered right back in the first inning. Marte got a double, and we were able to get him in on a sac fly ourselves. So answered right back. However, Andy Pages hit a 2-run home run in the 4th against Ryan Nelson to make it 3-1. Now, that was the extent of Ryan Nelson's, I guess, damage, or what he gave up, which is the same with Fott actually yesterday. And the same as Fott, Ryan Nelson pitched the 6 full innings, which was his 13th consecutive 5+ innings start. So Ryan Nelson has been nothing but consistent for us. He's not lights out. He's not perfect, but he is consistent. And that's desperately needed. And he and Fott's been more consistent lately. And Gallen has been consistent. And Rodriguez has been consistent. So our pitching really is figuring itself out. A little late in the season, perhaps, but it is figuring itself out. Philip Abner came in afterwards, or later in the game. Philip Abner is had his major league debut just a week and a half ago, and he came in, pitched a pretty tight inning, but did give up a run on a Teoscar Hernandez double in the 8th. So that was pretty tough, but aside from that, he looks good. He's still looking promising. I still want to see more from Philip Abner. However, he, like many young call-up relief pitchers, I think he needs to be on a short leash right now. In the 8th inning, this was our big inning. So the whole game, at that point, most of the game, we're trailing it 3-1. In the 8th, they score another run on top of that. In the bottom of the 8th, Ketel Marte singles. There's one out. Ketel Marte singles. Perdomo walks. Corbin Carroll clutch comes in, hits a double, which scores the run. And now there's a runner on second and third. Moreno hits a single, which scores another run, making it 4-3. And then Del Castillo, the hero of the game 2 days ago, one of the heroes, I should say, came in and hit a perfect sac fly to make it 4-4. So he did an excellent job there. And that ended the inning after another out after that, I guess. Brandon Garcia then came in in extras, because this game ended up going to extra innings, Brandon Garcia came in. He is somebody that we got with in the trade with the Mariners. So we got him for Suarez and Naylor, and that's kind of what we got from that, him amongst other players. And he very nearly pitched 2 whole extra innings. Extra innings meaning there was a guy on second to start the inning. He very nearly pitched 2 full innings without giving up a run. The 10th, he faced Ohtani, and then Betts, and then Freeman. And with Mookie Betts, with Mookie Betts, he ended up hitting a ball he hit a single to Corbin Carroll, which should have scored the runner from second, especially because it was a pinch runner who had a lot of speed. And Carroll gunned him down with feet to spare and got the out there. So Corbin Carroll deserves a huge thank you for getting through the 10th without giving up a run. But then on the other side of the 10th, at the bottom of the 10th, we loaded the bases with 1 out. Now stop me if you've heard this one before. Loaded the bases with 1 out, and we were unable to score that winning run. We were 90 feet away from a walk-off win, a second walk-off win in a row, and the final wild card spot. And we couldn't quite get it. Then in the top of the 11th, Brandon Garcia went out there again, and he got 2 outs, and it was Tommy Edman, had Tommy Edman on 2 strikes, and then gave up a single, which scored 1 run. And he then got the next guy out, and we went into the bottom of the 11th, where we were unable to make anything happen and lost the game. LA ended up winning with 5 runs. They had 11 hits in 11 innings and 0 errors. We had 4 runs with 9 hits and 1 error. That 1 error ended up not affecting the game much. It was a rare error on Perdomo, who it was Teoscar Hernandez's double. He scored scored the 4th run for the Dodgers. The throw came into Perdomo, and he bobbled it and dropped it, and that allowed Hernandez to make it to third. He didn't end up scoring, though, so that ended up being negligible. And most of the hits, I think there were 5 hits. The Diamondbacks had 5 hits going into the 8th inning, and then their remaining hits all came in that inning. So they had 4 hits in the 8th. Ryan Nelson pitched, as I said, 6 full innings. He pitched 92 pitches, 7 hits, 3 runs, no walks, and 9 strikeouts, which is his season high. Blake Snell pitched 6 full innings as well with 95 pitches, very similar. 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. So both pitchers very comparable to one another. Both did a very good job, pitched late into the game, which both teams have very thin bullpens right now. So they both needed to, and they both did. Unfortunately, Snell did, but Nelson did a very good job. Anyway, we're going to talk about a bit of what this all means for today's game, as well as the final series against the Padres. But before we go to that, we're going to take a little break. So stay right there. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Now, I'm quite tired this morning. I don't know if I look it or sound it, but last night I was up late for obvious reasons. The game went late, but then also just the way that the game ended really stuck with me, and had a difficult rest of the night. However, the thing that I've realized, and this doesn't really help as far as the playoff race as far as making it to the postseason. However, we did catch a break. Both teams, the Mets and the Reds that we're competing against, also lost. So we catch a huge break there, but we really missed out on the chance to get that final wild card spot. And then we're in control. We're in the driver's seat. Right now, we are still not in the driver's seat. We're counting on another loss from both of those teams. Both of those teams have to lose at least one more time. If we want to make it. They both need to lose one more than we do. So that is quite unfortunate. But the thing about it, yesterday I said that the Diamondbacks are a playoff caliber team. I said that a non-playoff caliber team would not have been able to win that game yesterday. So am I proven wrong? Was yesterday's Diamondbacks not a playoff caliber team? No, I think they absolutely are still a playoff caliber team. Because remember, playoff caliber teams, they do lose sometimes. Not every team wins teams don't win every single game. But the reason I'm saying that is because if they weren't a playoff caliber team, they would have lost the game 4-1 in the ninth inning. They didn't. They tied it. They forced the game into extras. They should have lost 2 days ago. They should have lost yesterday. They won 2 days ago, and they nearly won yesterday in a game that they shouldn't have won at all. And the reason for that is because, once again, they were able to generate the momentum that they needed when they needed it. But clearly, they didn't do it enough because they didn't win yesterday. So why is that? Well, here's what I figured out. Here's what I got. If you guys are just listening to this, by the way, I'm rubbing my face out of tiredness. If you're like, oh, he sounds funny, it's because I'm tired. But what happened yesterday was that the middle and bottom of our lineup struggled more than it usually does. In fact, that's the part of the lineup that we've been able to rely on the most over the last month or so, because Marte and Carroll, and to a lesser extent Perdomo and Moreno, have been struggling. They've been in kind of a slump over the last month and until recently. So that middle of the order, Blaze Alexander, Vargas, Jordan Lawler, Tim Tawa, they've been the ones generating all the momentum and all the offense. And so it was weird last night to see it kind of back to the way it was before. So Marte, Perdomo, Carroll, and Moreno, who I would consider to be our main core, they accounted for 10 of 13 base runners last night. There were only 3 base runners that wasn't one of them. And the rest of the lineup just couldn't deliver, especially, and that was the thing. We loaded the bases with 2 outs, or with 1 out in the 8th. We loaded the bases with 1 out in the 10th. And the reason we couldn't make it from there was because, and I don't want to I don't want to sound like I'm hating on anybody, but McCarthy came up with bases loaded, 1 out, pop fly into the infield fly, out. And then came James McCann, who struck out. And it was just like a whimper. It just didn't even end up happening. And then the 11th inning was our 7, 8, 9 guys who just out one by one by one. Couldn't even make it happen. And so in the 8th and in the 10th, it was the top of the order that made everything happen. Again, the 8th, the people that got all the action, it was Marte who led off, Perdomo, Carroll, Moreno. Del Castillo came in for Blaze Alexander. And then there was still, we still could have scored more, and then we didn't. That was it. That ended it there. And so we need the middle lineup and then the bottom of the lineup to show up like they have been all month, because the top of the lineup, the top 4 guys, can only work, every 2 or 3 innings, and we can't be just throwing innings away. And I feel like when they were up during this game yesterday, even when we were down, they were putting pressure on the Dodgers the entire game. But the thing is, that's how the Dodgers play. They have their main core that is their Otani, Freeman, Betts. Once you get past them, you kind of can breathe a little easier. And they're a very top-heavy team. And so that's why the small ball is the trick to beating them. And we didn't play small ball very well yesterday. At least the middle and bottom of our lineup didn't. So that is kind of the reason why that's the thing I point to why we didn't win yesterday. The other thing, and this is speculative. I'm not saying anything too crazy here, but looking back, it kind of doesn't make sense why this happened. In the 10th inning, Marte was at second. Perdomo was leading off. Perdomo has a 12-game hitting streak on the line, and Perdomo bunts, which is a good team move. I don't know if that was Lovello saying that or if he thought that was the thing to do. I don't know, but normally I'd say, great, get the guy to third, and then the next guy can try and induce a sac fly, and then we win. And there's only one out, so we're good. But the thing is he did that. Marte goes to third, and they immediately walked Carroll, because of course they would. And then Moreno came up. They threw 2 balls to him and then walked him because it doesn't matter if he's on or not. And it just right there, it's like, okay, well, now we have the force at first again. Or we have the force at any base, and we have double play ball ready to go. And it kind of was like, oh, that bunt didn't really help. And it wasn't too much of a stretch to go, if we bunt successfully, they're just going to walk our next 2 guys anyway, and then they're going to face Jake McCarthy, and that's exactly what happened. And so the decision there, I felt like I really admire Torey Lovello because he makes big decisions. He takes big swings, and he puts his guys first. Like he wants to see Jake McCarthy hit a walk-off base hit. And so he'll put Jake McCarthy in to do that. He's like, oh man, and he did this with Locklear, he a couple times where he's like, okay, if Locklear delivers here, he's good and he's going and he's cemented himself on the team. Even though maybe we need somebody a bit more reliable in that spot. Now, I'm not saying that he should have pinch hit for Jake McCarthy or anything, because our bench was pretty much empty at that point, but that seems to be what happens. And the problem with that, obviously, if it works out, great. 2 days ago, it worked out with Del Castillo. Last night, it worked out with Del Castillo. But it did not work out with that bunt decision, whosever decision that was. I think there was a very good chance that Perdomo could have just walked it off again. So, or gotten on base without getting an out, So that is kind of my takeaways from the game yesterday. And a few other things, though. We used 5 relievers throughout the game yesterday. The Dodgers used 7 relievers, including Clayton Kershaw, who's going to be starting this weekend against the Mariners. And so they used everybody except for Scott, who is their closer that blew the game 2 days ago. So I feel a lot better going into today's game, knowing that if we can just push through the starting pitcher, Yamamoto, who we do struggle against, if we can get through him, we're just seeing the same pitchers again. And they were just playing yesterday. And a lot of them played yesterday and the day before. So they're running on fumes. So if we can just get to their bullpen, we have a pretty good shot. And we have Zach Gallen pitching for us tomorrow. And he has been nails lately. And he does very well against the Dodgers. So if we do end up getting shut out by Yamamoto, if Gallen can shut them out, then it's our bullpen versus their bullpen on equal ground. We've been catching up to the Dodgers this entire time. Imagine starting on equal ground. I feel very good about that. The Dodgers have only been able to get they got 1 run off of us in game 1, 2 runs, I guess, off of us in game 2. So they've gotten 3 runs off of our bullpen. All of our runs have come off of their bullpen, except for the one that we got off of Blake Snell. So yeah, we've gotten 8 runs off of their bullpen. So if we can make it to the bullpen on equal footing, I feel very confident because we still have at least 1 pitcher. I'm trying to think, we might have 2, but I know we at least have our latest call up. And I'm blanking on his name right now. That's going to kill me later. But we have at least 1 relief pitcher that they have not seen yet. So I was gonna look it up. I'm not gonna. Sorry, it'll come to me later. I'm sorry. You guys can remind me in the comments. Which, by the way, you guys, I read every comment. Sometimes I don't respond immediately because I don't respond immediately, but I do respond eventually. So please do leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section of the YouTube videos or on our Instagram or Twitter posts. You can send us a message on Instagram, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And also, we will read them out pretty regularly on the show. So we'd love to have you guys involved in the show. Anyway, the other thing, basically, Gallen needs to shut them out. We need to start the bullpen game on equal footing. But if we can start the bullpen game a little early, then that's another bonus. We haven't been able to do that yet. And I've been saying it. We need to get Ohtani out. We need to get Snell out after the 4th, 5th inning. Like we can't go 6 full innings with these guys. We need to force them out. We need to be patient and make them pitch to us. We haven't been doing that. We need to figure out how to do that with Yamamoto. If we can get him out in the 5th inning or earlier, then we're starting that bullpen game way earlier. Now, there's no way they're going to pull Yamamoto out unless his pitch count is in the hundreds or he is struggling. So, because again, their bullpen is just it's bare bones right now. So Dave Roberts isn't going to just do that because we have to force it. The other thing is the middle and bottom of our lineup needs to show up. They need to be able to one, tee off for the leadoff hitters, but they also need to be able to deliver when the leadoff hitters tee up for them. Lately it's been like the game 1, it was okay, well, you get Tim Tawa, he gets on base, and you'll get McCann who will get a base hit, and then who comes up? It's Perdomo who can knock them both in or something like that. But yesterday's game, it was kind of the opposite. The Marte, Perdomo, Carroll, and Moreno were getting all the production, and then they would get stranded on base because the middle of the order couldn't show up. So we need to see the middle of the order show up in a big way. They need to show up with a chip on their shoulder, and they need to play hard, and they need to play as much as they can, because we're entering there's 4 games left, and that's it. So they need to start pushing pretty hard. They haven't burnt themselves out yet, and they're getting close to the end of the season, so it's looking possible that they are going to basically use the perfect amount of energy to get to the end of the season, unlike other teams that have been in the hunt. But I think they need to start kind of pushing just a little bit harder. And then, yeah, I think it can work out. Anyway, we're going to talk about the updated playoff picture a little bit and what we have ahead of ourselves and what everybody else has ahead of them with the remaining 4 games of the season. But first, we're going to take a little break. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, what do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? You got confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet. Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiet's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill, it's a total game changer for confidence. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. In a strange turn of events, we've been doing these playoff picture updates now for a few weeks, and the number of teams that we're reporting on is going down and down and down. And this time there's really only 3 teams, and they all lost. Diamondbacks lost, Mets lost, Reds lost. Nothing changes. The only other teams that are even close, like the next 2 teams, are the Giants and the Marlins, but both are 3.5 games back, and the Giants only have 3 games left, so they're eliminated. So like it's weird. It's weird. We're like, okay, this is it. And last year it was the Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Braves. This time it's the Diamondbacks, Mets, and the Reds. So hopefully this year it turns out better than it did last year. The Mets still currently hold the final wild card spot, and we are tied with the Reds, being 1 game behind them. We have the tiebreaker on the Mets. We do not have the tiebreaker on the Reds. The Reds have it on us and the Mets. So in a 3-way tie, the Reds go, we stay. So if we had to pick which team we want to lose more, we want the Reds to lose more. So at this point, even though we're tied with the Reds and we're down 1 on the Mets, we need both of them to lose 1 game more than us in these remaining 4 games. And today we are playing the Dodgers once again, going for that final win and to see if we can win this series and also win the season series against the Dodgers. Right now, it's all tied up. And then the Reds are playing the Pirates, and the Mets are playing the Cubs. The Reds and the Pirates are tied, and the Cubs and the Mets are tied. So, the Pirates have already won the series. The Pirates won the first 2 games against the Reds. The Mets and Cubs are tied in their series. So we are rooting, in case you're not totally clear, we want the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Diamondbacks to win. Those are our 3 teams that we're rooting for today. Sorry. And then tomorrow, speaking of tomorrow, the Mets are going to start their final series against the Miami Marlins, who are doing incredibly right now. However, they might be the next. They lost yesterday, so hopefully they're not the next team to burn out, in which case their final series is not looking very promising. And then the Reds will start theirs tomorrow against the Brewers, who are the best team in baseball right now, but have taken their foot off the gas pedal a pretty good deal and have not been winning a ton of their games lately, though they did win yesterday. And then tomorrow we will start our final series against the San Diego Padres, who I am feeling a bit nervous about, if I'm being completely honest, getting a little bit of that PTSD from last year when we faced them in San Diego and lost the series 2 of 3. So that's that's what I'm afraid of. So if we can win the series against the Padres, if we can win the series against the Padres, I'll feel a lot better about everything. No matter how things turn out, I will feel much better. I don't want to go into San Diego and lose the series and have that be the last thing that we feel as this team, because this team, no matter what, this is the team that we have next year. Pretty much all the guys that we were going to be losing over this next season, we traded away, with like the exception of Zach Gallen, but pretty much everybody else is staying here. And so this is the team that we have next year. And if we can end it on a high note, then that will translate into next year and help out a ton. And again, if the Diamondbacks had the Diamondbacks been playing the way they're playing now since the beginning of the year, they would have clinched the division a long time ago. So if we can take this current form of playing into the start of next year, and then after the All-Star break, when we start seeing players like Corbin Burns, AJ Puck, Lourdes Gurriel coming back, then we're really building out that team, and we really stand a chance to make some waves. Another interesting thing, though, real quick before we end, the Dodgers only need one more win to clinch the division, so they are going to be trying to do that today. And also the Padres are not playing today, so they have the chance to do that, or the Padres can lose one of their games, and the Dodgers will clinch the division as well that way. So hopefully, the Dodgers don't clinch the division today, but they do tomorrow. That's the hope. Also, in the American League, the Mariners clinched their division, which I bring up because it's the first time the Mariners have won the American League West division since 2001. And I liked that year in baseball. That was a good year for the Diamondbacks. So hopefully, if we're going off of omens and signs and things like that, that's a good sign. And congrats to the Mariners, not just because they have a bunch of our players from earlier this year, but also just because it's been fun to watch them. And they've been one of my favorite teams from the American League to watch lately. So yeah, good for them. Anyway, hopefully also good for us here in about a week. Today is the deciding game against the Dodgers. Fingers crossed, heart beating fast, both for this series and the season series. The Diamondbacks hoping for a Mets and Reds loss, but no matter what, we need to win today. Independent of what happens outside of what we can control, we need to do what we can, and that is win this game. If we want to make it to the postseason, that needs to happen. I'll be posting updates regularly on our YouTube channel as well as on our X and Instagram accounts. So go follow us there if you haven't already at Locked On Diamondbacks. It's pretty easy to remember, same as the podcast name. I will be back here tomorrow morning with the reactions from the series finale. We are on YouTube as well as every other place you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can find more of my YouTube channels and projects at slackshack.tv. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every night, every game until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. My name is Dana Biggs. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.